We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner. I got to go bold, right? I got to go bold for this.
Yeah, she's got some nice.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. And today, my friends, we are breaking down day 2 of the Chicago Bears draft. And also at the end, right, we'll talk about day 2. We'll talk about the trade back. And then we'll also talk about some of the best available that are still out there in day 3 and people to watch out for because, hey, we still got some holes out there. We still got to add some people. So we'll definitely break it all down today. So how are we doing? It's a little bit later. So thank you all so much because we're out here at 11 o'clock. For those that caught the show yesterday, might have heard we had daddy-daughter dance tonight, and we were out pretty late, for as late as you can have a 6-year-old. We were out pretty late, so then it was just recapping, and I was trying to watch all the draft, and literally right when I put it on, I saw Bears at pick 62. I did a great job not checking my phone, but literally as soon as I turned it on, I'm like, something happened. So yeah, I was excited, and at pick 41, I was like, come on, we got to trade down. Like, I don't want us to trade up, but we'll break it all down today. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And also, yeah, Drax, what's good, my friend? Yeah, did not step on my daughter's feet. She actually didn't want to dance. She's actually like a competitive dancer. She's phenomenal. And yeah, she just didn't want people to watch me dance. And, you know, I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate that. But it was a lot of fun. It was actually absolutely a blast. Joe, what's good? J2K, chat, what is up? So I'll actually ask this straight up, right? What did we think of the Luther Burden pick? I'm just adding that right now into just the polls. I'm going to do A, B, C, and D. We ain't doing F. Actually, someone has an F grade. I'd love to know. We'll break that down. But first, make sure to download the draft guide. I did not do Ozzy Trapilo as a actual draft guide person. I watched him before, but I was like, there's no way they'll actually draft a tackle that, around that area. And now I am actually going to be uploading the brand new picture that I threw out there. So it might not happen right now as you're listening to it if we're live, but for those out in podcast land, I will have it out for you. So make sure to download it and you can see the profile out there. So now let's talk about what's going on at pick 39. If I had more time, right, I would have grabbed the clip when we were breaking down the wide receivers. I know not a lot of people watch that show on YouTube. You can go back to it where I talked about Burden, and I was saying this guy could drop to them. I don't know why. Actually, I know why. But Luther Burden is someone that could drop to the Bears, and if he's there, you sprint up and you get him. Why? Because he's one of the best wide receivers in this draft. If you look across all sorts of different draft boards, Luther Burden is one of the top guys out there. And what I like about this is this was best player available. So at pick 39, Bears go Luther Burden. And the thing that I really like I said, is best player available. Does it fit in need? No. And I said this yesterday, though, after we got Colston Loveland, I was like, hey, we didn't even talk wide receiver. Like, we brought up Luther Burden, but it's like, hey, we don't really need him because Colston Loveland can be a tight end. We've played about 47%. Ben Johnson played 47% of his snaps with 2 tight ends. When you have Luther Burden, the thing that I love about what they're trying to do, and you saw this also with the Ozzy pick as well, what the Bears are doing is they have an offense that is going to grow with Caleb Williams. Think about it. Your right tackle, you're going to have him for 3 years if you pick up the 5th-year option. Right guard, you're going to have him for 3 years. Center, signed for 3 years. Left guard, sounds like they're going to want to extend him, right? For probably 3 years. And then you have your tight ends. You have 2 tight ends under contract, the next 3 years. Then also you have DJ Moore with a new contract. And then you also have Rome Dunze. You have Luther Burden. And also, it's all around Caleb Williams. That's why I was actually a little surprised we didn't go with like a Caleb Johnson over a Shemar Turner, because what you're seeing right now with this team is you have people that can all grow with Caleb Williams. And the thing that I love about, let's actually flip over to Luther Burden. Luther Burden to me is DJ Moore. Like, he is just, when you put on the tape, this guy is DJ Moore. And the thing that's absolutely crazy, he led the NCAA in broken tackles with 30 broken tackles. Do you know why that's crazy? He only had 61 catches. This guy had a down year and still led the NCAA in broken tackles at the wide receiver position, right? Still, Ashton Genty had more at the running back position, but Luther Burden was number one among wide receivers. Absolutely crazy out there. 54.5% contested catch rate, 78.8% man-to-man grade. This guy is very, very good. And now, what are some of the downsides? Because actually, a little bit more about what he does well. Ben Johnson wants playmakers. He wants somebody that can do something with the ball in his hand. That is what Luther Burden does. Give him the ball, let the dude work. Also, probably going to be more of a slot receiver with Ben Johnson and inside of the system. So, love that. And all that you're seeing is that you have another person that is going to be a matchup nightmare. Yes, I know. Could have maybe gone with the trenches. I think that, and also too, I think Travion Henderson is the pick if he's there. I sincerely think that with the Bieniemy connection too. I think a lot of people kind of feel this way. I think that if Travion Henderson was there, Bears would have gotten him and Luther Burden then, which would have been insane, which would have been absolutely amazing. I think it's a different conversation that we're having right now, because maybe you still walk away with Ozzy Trapilo or, Shemar Turner with that number 71 pick. But man, Burden was crazy. Yeah, J2K says Burden was his number 2 wide receiver behind Travis Hunter. He was my wide receiver too. I didn't really even do big boards this year just because I was like, I just want to churn out more profiles than an actual big board. But when I watched Burden, I was like, yeah, this guy, wide receiver 2. Like literally my wide receiver 2, consensus 34th player and wide receiver 4. But this guy is good. In his season 2023, 1,209 receiving yards. Just, he's got the speed. He's got the hands. He's like I said, good enough route runner. You'd like to see his routes a little bit better. And also too, like DJ Moore, not necessarily a jump ball guy or anything like that. Not a great run blocker. And this is where I loved seeing Randall L get hyped, because Randall L with the Jameson Williams, there's still bad things with Jameson Williams, right? But he was able to get over 1,000 yards last season with Jameson Williams. This seems like something that the Bears wouldn't have done before. And you'll see a common thread, minus Ozzy, that the 2 of the players that they picked today have character concerns that typically the Bears don't even touch. Now, Luther Burden's character concerns are more so like rumors that he's just a terrible practice guy, does not want to be out there. And also some pieces too, which make him more like DJ Moore, is that he's got a piss poor attitude when it comes to bad quarterback play. It reminds me of another wide receiver we have, not just because of the way he plays. But the reason why I also feel like he's more DJ Moore than, say, Deebo Samuel, even though he's still a crazy good playmaker, Deebo was a little bit bigger, but I think that Luther Burden is more of a true wide receiver than your standard like Deebo Samuel type of a comp. But also too, not a great tracker on deep balls. Still good, but you see a lot of people that are just phenomenal at deep ball catches. But also too, his mom supposedly has gotten in the way with certain things. And then also his girlfriend is his own manager. So some people don't necessarily like that. So there's some question marks with it. But really, I like it. I jumped up. I was celebrating. I give this an A. I love this. This was the best player available. And this is something that we said, when you have a first round talent, like legit, this is a first round player. This guy's better than Matthew Golden. Like, and you get him in the second round. I love this pick. I know that we have needs and I'll talk about this later about the other players that we picked. lower, spoiler alert, I'm lower on our other players. Luther Burden is a phenomenal player. So absolutely love him. But let's see what y'all are saying out there in the chat. So yeah, thanks for staying up so late to do this podcast. Thank you guys for staying up late too. And Skokes, my friend, what is good? But let's keep on going. Muck, what is good as well? Says Poles killed it today. Yeah, I think with Burden, and I was pumped. Like my wife was laughing just because I'm rewatching, the draft, and I'm not like speeding up or anything like that. Like I like the whole watching of the draft kind of unfold, who goes where and other things like that. Also, I am trying to figure this out. And for everyone that's still watching right now, if you're rewatching this on YouTube, I am going to try and figure out a day that we can grind the tape on Colston Loveland. Cause I'm like, I want to watch more Colston Loveland. So I got the all 22 stuff that we need. I think I have like 7 games on Colston Loveland. And we're just going to watch the tape, just like it's the regular season. I don't know when, so stay tuned. I'll try to give like a day's notice or something. I just have to figure out the schedule, everything like that. I'm like, man, that's going to be the big thing that I'm like, that's going to be fun just for us to sit down, watch the tape. I'm not going to do one of those where I just like say, hey, here's 5 great plays. Y'all have already seen that. Go through the bad. We'll go through the ugly. We'll go through the good. So that's something that I'm actually really excited to do, just to go deeper into it, because Colston Loveland, I did not do as deep of a dive as I have with other players because I didn't expect it till the very end. But that's going to be the thing. I agree, Muck. True first round talent. Slick, what's good, my friend? Saying, guys, also don't forget about Devin Neal and Trevor Etienne. Oh yeah, we'll talk about the running backs later on for sure. So let's keep this going. So 68% of y'all saying A for Luther Burden. So let's go down to this trade back. Like I said, I didn't know we were trading back because I kind of jumped into 62. Then my lovely, beautiful wife, I told her, I was like, can you please rewind this thing? Try to figure out, because it wouldn't let me rewind. She figured out the DVR and everything, got me back on track. So Brian Poles decides to trade back from 40. He trades 41, 72, and 240 for 56, 62, and 109. Now, when you look at the draft value chart, the Bears technically got good value, even though that it feels a little bit weird because you kind of have a worse day 2, if you will, just because you're dropping farther earlier and then you're coming up shorter. But then also too, when you look at the other picks as well, the biggest thing is that you're getting a semi-valuable pick in the beginning of the 4th round, which allows us to talk about the Bears adding another contributor. So that was one of the things when I first heard it, the broadcast I was listening to was like, yep, they traded 41 and 72 for 56 and 62. And I'm like, what? That's awful. Like just do the math. Like, that's terrible. But yeah, they left out the important part of getting that early 4th. So that's something that I do warm up to a little bit more, that I do like that at least, because now you can at least get a true contributor. Because keep in mind, 7th round picks, like every year, only like one of them actually turns into a starter, pretty much, like, or a good player. So they're very, very crapshoots, and usually in the 7th round, they just take whoever the heck they want. So yeah, let's keep on going, and let's talk about who they ended up getting at pick 56. So this one, I'm very, very curious for everyone. How would you grade the Ozzy pick? And then let's see. Ozzy Crazy Train Trapilo. So A, B, C, and I'll even throw D or F out there just to see if somebody does hate this. But let's break this down, right? Because literally I have in my notes as I'm watching the draft, I'm going to say, because the one thing I was going to talk about is there's an offensive tackle on the board with Ariante Ursary. And what they end up doing is they trade back. So I was like, oh, they must really like Karan and Braxton. I'm going to bring that up on the show. And then they're like, no, don't. We're going to draft Ozzy anyways. So with them drafting Ozzy, I think it might have shown just kind of what they thought of Ursery, just because, this is someone who was, tackle out of Minnesota, but redshirt senior, a little bit older, and still had a lot of development that still needed to happen. Then you have the Packers going with Belton. Belton is someone that a little slow in the feet, but very, very powerful. And then you have the Bears going with Ozzy Trapilo. Now, Boston College, redshirt senior, 6'8", 318. The best way that I would bring him up, the way that I would say this, is that to me, this is a swing tackle. Also, I did not upgrade his PFF grade. He was not the second highest graded tackle. I need to update that. Here, I'll put my face. I'll put my face right there so no one can read that. So I'll put my face right there. Someone's going to join the chat and be like, what the? Brad, move your face. But no, I'm going to put it over the PFF grade so y'all don't see it. But anyways, he is, though, the 85th consensus overall player. They end up getting him at 56. You did see it overall, though, with, just offensive tackles going early, because this wasn't a very, right after the first chunk, everything kind of drops off like we said before. Now, the thing with Ozzy is he's a traitsy guy. And I hate saying this with offensive linemen, but typically when you're getting someone in the late second round, in the third round, you're getting someone like a Karan Amagaji where it's based on traits. Now, Karan was more speed, the length, everything like that. Ozzy, he is 6'8", and that's why to me he reminds me of Dan Skipper, where I think that he projects best as more of that swing tackle. And really watching him, I go, this guy's got potential. Like he just seems like he can be a player in the NFL, which is good. Right now, his biggest weakness is, I want to say, just his reach. 33-inch arms, that's one little piece. But also, too, you could tell that he's got shorter arms because he really is kind of leaning over his skis when he's trying to block someone in the run game, the pass game. He's really starting to try and lean, and then people can kind of take advantage of him that way. But also, besides just the traits, I really love his hands because just in the past, in pass pro, when he's got you, you're done. And then same thing in the run game, he's latched onto you, you're done. So that's stuff that you'd love to see just with strong hands out of a player like this. But yeah, little slower. Yet again, even though he's got the traits, it's more of you're tall, you have good strength. It's more of a strength build rather than, but not like the classic, he's 350 pounds, can't move. You'd like to see him a little bit quicker. But yeah, this one, I think that the thing that I didn't like about it was just who else was on the board, right? This is you're drafting for need, right? You're drafting for a player that you really, really want. And I think that this also shows that the Bears just simply wanted to fill out this tackle spot, right? Doing something like this was one of the last tackles that you could really get besides a Charles Grant. But really, this just felt like, hey, let's just try and solidify this tackle position. And we brought this up as an option of, okay, now you have Braxton coming off of an injury. You have Karan who can still develop, but you don't feel like you're closing the door by yeah, we got Kelvin Banks. Braxton, you're out. Karan, you stink, right? Instead, it's you can see Karan grow. You can see Ozzy compete against those guys. And also, too, Ozzy, 2 years at right tackle, or last year, 0 penalties at right tackle, but 2 years at right tackle, the year before that, left tackle. So he's got experience on both sides, something that is at least interesting to see. I immediately heard people say, well, if they draft Ozzy, that means Darnell Wright's going to the left side. Well, it doesn't mean that. He's a what, late second round pick, offensive tackle? No. Let's not get too hyped. I think he's going to be more of that swing tackle, the Dan Skipper type of a role. But let's see what y'all think about this. We got 14% saying A, 59% saying B, 18% saying C, and 9% saying D and F. But let's see what y'all are actually saying out here. Let's see. Slick saying he's happy with the draft. Jesse, very disappointed in the draft. And then Muck saying too, an extra second round pick and replacing our lost fourth was major. I do like that. And then Drax saying 90 watching. Don't forget to hit the like. That is right. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Like I said, I want to do an all 22 watch of some of these players all together. So make sure to do that. Make sure to hop on just because we'll go through it. I don't know if I'll actually do like a recap video or anything. So just stay tuned for those out on YouTube and those listening. Yeah, just stay tuned. I'm hoping for Sunday. So that's the plan. But also too, J2K saying he doesn't see the fit. Right tackle, 6'8", 33-inch arms. The thing too that I just want to call out with like the offensive line is I don't think anyone knows the run system for Ben Johnson, because literally like as I'm listening to people, like I think I was listening to the College Game Day, right? Or I forgot which one it was, but literally like the first time someone talked about Ozzy, they're like, "Oh, but he's not really a scheme fit for Ben Johnson cuz he's not good in his own blocking system. Like he's more of a gap grader, cuz he just doesn't have that quickness." And then one person actually was he's a good fit because he's good in the gap scheme. And then another person said, "Well, he's a bad fit because he's bad in zone." And it's like, well, I don't know what to believe anymore. I just think that he's a good player. He's solid. I thought that it was a little bit of a reach is all. That's my feeling. Yeah, Jesse's saying he's like, yeah, he wanted to get Caleb. I could see that. But yeah, let's see. Also too, one of my favorite things is I don't think the Packers are having a good draft this year. Just from the little bit that I was seeing. I think that's good at least. And could Ozzy move in the inside? Yeah, he could. I think though, like 6'8", that is really tall to be on the inside. Like he's a legit 6'8" too. Like not like this is the official combine measurement of 6'8". Like that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. And D saying we need Cam Scat. So I agree with that. But let's keep on going. Yeah, Jesse's saying can Ozzy play running back? Yeah, we'll be going into some of those running backs, my friend. But yeah, Ozzy, I think that this is a swing tackle, right? And I think that's where if I had to give it a grade, I don't like giving grades except for when I absolutely love a player like Luther. I think that's just the Ozzy pick because that there was other players out there. I go into more of that C range or like not as happy about it because I don't see him being a true starter. If he is, awesome, right? I'll be wrong. But I do think that he is more of that true swing. And I think what they're trying to do is just solidify the tackle spot and then see, can someone emerge, right? You have three candidates. Who's going to win, right? Throw them in the cage. Who's going to come out victorious with that? But all saying B, fair for sure. So let's go down to the next and final pick of this before we get into our best available. So with this, I'm sitting down on the couch talking to my beautiful wife, and I'm saying, you know what? They're going to go Caleb Johnson because they're going to go running back there. Because I was like, oh man, could you imagine this? Like, if they go Caleb Johnson, the entire offense, it's exactly what I was talking about, where you kind of have 4 years of like the entire starting lineup pretty much. Now, I still don't think Ozzy would necessarily start, but you basically have these players all on 3 to 4 year deals. And let me type this up. How would you grade the Shemar pick? So, like I was saying, I thought that they were going to go running back because I'm like, also, we know that the Bears wanted to go up for Ashton Genty. Like, they legitimately wanted to, and they talked about it even to Ryan Poles. And actually, side note, Ryan Poles said something where it sounded like they wanted more than just 2 picks. So like the first and like the second or whatever, kind of alluded to it a little bit in an interview that people wanted more. And I think that that's what, and he's like, yeah, that's when he was like, no, which kudos, Ryan Poles. But let's see what y'all have to say about the Shemar Turner pick. Let's break this down because I was a little shocked that they went defense because I'm like, hey, might as well just go straight up offense. Shemar Turner out of Texas A&M, D tackle, 6'3", 290, senior. And this guy projected to go in the 3rd round. Yeah, just about did, right? Right out the borderline. The consensus 78th player, D tackle, number 9. So a little bit of a reach. But this guy, and also PFF's 714th highest graded defensive tackle. That ain't great, but hey, no one in Texas A&M graded well at all. Now, his overall grade, 59.4. This guy reminds me of Lamar Houston. Now, also his stats, just like everyone else at Texas A&M, not good. 2 sacks, 18 hurries, 1 quarterback hit, a pass rush win rate of 6.2%. Keep in mind, good for D tackle is a little over 10%. His run win rate was 7.9%, which ain't bad. Now, when you go into the grades, not good. 60.8 pass rush grade, 64.3 run grade. But let's not talk about the numbers. What do I see on tape? This guy, the way I describe it is, and I said this when we were breaking down the D tackles, this is the kid, and maybe adult as well, when you have that person that plays Madden that doesn't know how to like all they know is like, okay, if I'm going to use a move, I just have to keep hitting the stick, right? Or I just have to keep hitting this button, right? Like Shemar Turner just mashes buttons in Madden in order to like rush the passer. That's what he does. Because he's got a million moves. Like he's got a very good swim move, and he's got a lot of moves in his pass rush arsenal. It just feels like he doesn't know how to use them. Like that's my biggest critique. Where I think when you're a coach, you go, this is great because you already try to hit these moves. I just have to try and fine tune you a little bit more because he just starts throwing punches. He just starts throwing arms. And yeah, I see out there like Muck saying, very violent athlete. He is, because he's just literally like, he's throwing punches, he's throwing arm moves, and he's just, he's playing Mortal Kombat, just button mashing with everything that he's doing. He's just button mashing. That's where the coaching really does come into play. But man, just absolute high motor dude. Punched a guy in the groin just during a game because he's that high motor, but he is hot-headed. And this is the second player that they got that kind of has some questionable character concerns. His is more like just being a hothead, getting penalized for just stupid things. But also too, Shemar Turner, very good against bad competition, not great against good competition, which yet again, you kind of expected with just him kind of spamming pass rush moves constantly. Now, the other thing too, is he does have a lot of the traits. Very fast. He's got long arms. So this is yet again another traitsy pick. This is kind of on brand for Ryan Poles, where I actually heard a little tip from a professional bettor that they're like, did you know that that Ryan Poles has drafted the most he drafts more based on the RAS score than any other GM that's out there. And wasn't really surprised by that, but a little surprised that he's actually the number one GM that drafts based on traits. And that's exactly what Shemar Turner brings, is traits. Long arms, 6'3", 290, and everything like that. Now, the whole Lamar Houston comp, the reason why is Lamar Houston, kind of traitsy, bigger athlete like this, played a little bit better at defensive end. And that's where I kind of have a question mark of where do they want to put Shemar Turner? Because he did play on the edge at Texas A&M, but with Nick Scorton and with Shamar Stewart, he had to then go at the defensive tackle spot where I just felt like he just didn't look as good. He's not super bendy, similar to Lamar Houston on the outside edge, but I do think that he could be probably a better D tackle or a defensive end than an actual D tackle. Yet again, still big. And yeah, I just want to see kind of where they end up putting him. But that's the big piece. That's my feeling overall with this. But let's see what y'all are saying out here with this Shemar Turner pick. We got rebellious saying horrible draft. Overall, John saying C- on Ozzy. We have Buck saying very well coached at BC. That is right. I forgot who their coach is out there at BC, but yeah, the offensive line coach out there is really good, which actually can be kind of a downside. It's a little bit because you kind of want to develop them a little bit more. It's a good and bad, right? Because you can't really get, how much can you get out of them? But at the same time too, the guy's just going to be a good pro or, just good solid player. John saying Shemar is a good pick for where they got him. He is very versatile and he fits the scheme. Yeah, Brad got his Texas juice. Oh, man, but A&M? Nah, man. The Aggies? Get out of here, Aggies. So growing up in Texas, actually, like, I never knew what a blonde joke was because everything was like, I grew up in Austin. So everything was Texas Longhorns, everything. And so it was Aggie jokes for everything. It was Aggie and Sooner jokes. So there was no such thing as like a blonde joke growing up where it's like, blondes are so dumb. No, it was Aggies are so dumb. Sooners are so dumb. It's just different down there with like college teams. That's actually why I like Chicago sports teams, because my family's from Chicago. Down in Austin, they didn't care about the pro teams. It was all college all the time. So hence my allegiance to the different spots. But let's see. I do agree with Muck Muck. I do think that Texas A&M coaching was trash. We talk about this all the time whenever we bring up a Texas A&M player. Like, what the heck are they being coached? Because you even saw this with Walter Nolan. Walter Nolan, number one recruit coming out, leaves Texas A&M and then is outrageously good at Mississippi. So like, what are they doing at Texas A&M? So yeah, 7 penalties. Oh man, 7 penalties in 2 years. Not great. Let's see what else is out there. I don't know. My whole take on this is this, right? I am not as high on these last 2 picks. And the biggest reason is because, right, you kind of trade back. So you're like, oh man, we could maybe get someone. Because I'm looking at this going, we could get Xavier Watts, we could get Kevin Winston, right? We could get some pretty good safeties. We could get, some defensive ends. We could get some, like, I like Darius Alexander out of Toledo. There was even another D tackle too. Forgot what his name was, but there's just a couple other players that I thought were just a little bit. Omar Norman Lott, right? Very, very high potential. I think that he has a higher ceiling than what you get with like Stewart or Shemar Turner. And I think that was just something that kind of threw me off a little bit with it. And that's why to me, this one I'm definitely lower on just because. So like seeing the Ozzy thing and also Turner. So Shy Jack saying my wife is from Texas and she remembers Aggie jokes. Oh yeah, Aggie jokes all the time. Sometimes a Red Raider joke would be tossed out there too, for Texas Tech. But yeah, it was Sooners and Aggies all the time. But yeah, that's the thing. I'm not necessarily in love with this pick, but it's a potential pick. We'll see, right? I'm not one where even when I don't love a pick, I'm not one to be like, that's trash. But like even like with the Velus Jones, I hated that pick. But I was like, you know what? We'll see. Because that's it, right? You take it. It's not like, I don't think that any of these are the caliber of player that Velus was, because Velus was going to be a 5th round pick. Turner and Trapilo are at least like 3rd round prospects that you drafted in the 2nd. So you did a reach for certain players that you like a little bit more. So we'll see. We'll see. And also I agree with J2K. That's a good point. That top 30 visits definitely seems more like a smokescreen, because we drafted everyone from a top 30 visit. Now, like what? No one out there. And it also sounded like a lot of the people they were talking with too was very quiet. So let's go to the best available, shall we? I think that some of you might think that this is the best part of the show. This is actually part of my favorite part of the show, is the best available, because I always like to think about who else is out there. Now, we're not going to focus on the 7th rounders. I might just talk a little bit, just what I would probably do, because spoiler alert, in the 7th round, I like just a lot of the safeties that are out there. I've talked about this with, my previewing of the safeties. I really like this safety class. I like the depth out in that 7th round. Now the good players will probably get picked a little bit higher than where I had some of them, but let's talk about best players available. And let's start with everyone's favorite position. Here we go. We have the running backs. So let's talk a little bit more about the running backs out here, because I know this is something that we are all looking for. So running backs, what can we do? Well, our next pick is at pick 109. Now, you can still get some pretty darn good running backs out there at pick 109. So right now, still on the board, Dylan Sampson, the speedster out of Tennessee. So if they want to get somebody a little bit speedier, they can go with that. Or the fan favorite, Cam Scatabo, or Scataboo, and 91 on the consensus big board. And man, that is that David Montgomery. He wasn't brought in on a visit, but hey, the Bears have not drafted anybody on the visit this year. And then you have Damian Martinez. When you're talking out of Miami, when you're talking about players that can complement Swift, Scataboo and Martinez are very, very good complements. Martinez, Deonta Foreman, that's who he is, right? He's going to just run forward. He's big. He's strong. He's like 6'1", just like Foreman. He's just going to try and plow through you. Both of those guys pretty darn good. Then you have DJ Giddens at 107, Kansas State running back. Now, this guy is, off the top of my head, he does have the, that magic quadrant in production and also athleticism. Very upright runner. Kind of gives me some weird vibes where I'm like, you look really good, but like there's different parts of your game that I'm like, I don't know how it'll translate, but he could be a very good pick. There's still lots of good running backs. Then you have Bashal Tutin, 120 out of Virginia Tech. Not great vision per se, but man, if you run this as a gap scheme and you just say, Tutin, go through that hole as fast as you can. He'll go, aye, captain, and he'll just freaking fly through it. I really like Tutin just because he's a good player. And also saying Tutin is just fun. It gets the Southern out of you whenever you say that too. But then also too, we got Jordan James out of Oregon. Kind of catch myself with those. Very powerful back as the 124th consensus player. Devin Neal. I'm actually very down on Devin Neal. Lots of other people love Devin Neal. I'm just not one of those guys, right? The reason why people like him, just kind of all around back, I just never really saw one trait that kind of jumps out at me. But I want to talk about Jaden Blue. Texas, great. Negative, does not hold on to the ball well. Very, very bad. Probably the worst at fumbling the football. That being said, he is also probably the fastest running back out here next to Bashal Tutin. Those two are the two speedsters, and if you want someone with game-changing speed, it's those two guys. Because everyone else, I like Trevor Etienne very well, but I don't think that they would draft him because he's so similar to what Swift gives you. The only way I would do it is if you drafted him, then you traded Swift, and then you got a 4th round, 5th round pick or something like that. But yeah, then other than that, you go down there and now you're talking about late round picks. Not a fan of Ollie Gordon. He's afraid of getting tackled. Rashard Smith out of SMU. Good receiving back, right? Receiving weapon. But still don't necessarily love. I think that Ben Johnson could use him well, but he never breaks tackles, right? That's my number one thing is you got to be able to break tackles. You got to be able to do something. Otherwise, you're just getting what the line gets you, basically. So that's something that I don't necessarily love, but just continuously looking out there. Lots of just good, talented running backs. So hopefully one of those guys ends up falling. If they do, I say go for it, right? That's my feeling with it. But let's keep on going with who else is available. We need defensive ends, right? I would love to just walk away with one more. And this is going to be the first spot that I look at, even outside of running back. Because if Jack Sawyer or Braden Swinson, Kyle Kennard is still around, those are some of the players that I would like the Bears to at least look at, potentially go after. Now, unfortunately, the only one that I think really kind of fits the system is more of Jack Sawyer, with that, or even Jared Ivey, who's projected. He's the 125th consensus player. There's also David Walker at 135 on the consensus big board out of Central Arkansas. To me, I don't see it, right? I always want to buy into the small school hype. I felt the same about Mo Kamara when he was coming out, where I just was not a fan. David Walker, I'm getting the same vibes where just smaller guy, but I just don't see it with him. But dude's 6 foot and he's got just incredible thighs, and that's how he wins. It's just all just lower body explosiveness. Then the next group, right? Let me actually just pull it up on the other side, because nothing else too much. Like if we're just looking at best players available, I won't have it up on the chat. But as I'm just like kind of flipping through some of these players, we don't need tight end. We don't need running back. Let's see. If we want to go center, there's Seth McLaughlin, but I think that the offensive line's done right now just because of the players that we have right now. And you still have Ryan Bates, who guard, center versatility, still have Doug Kramer, still have a couple others as well. But then if we go over to corner, if we want to go corner, got Kobe Bryant. Would be fun to have just Kobe. But nothing that really kind of stands out to me. If we go down to safeties, like we said, if you're talking about, that first pick that we have, you're talking about maybe like a Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma, small, rangy, one of the worst tackler in the draft though, which, it's bad. It's some bad tackling, but he's such a good playmaker at Oklahoma. And then Lathan Ransom, I like him. Good safety prospect out of Ohio State. That should be there with your 4th round pick. Sebastian Castro, I know a lot of people are super high on him. I don't necessarily see it too much. I just think he's like a good player, good foundational player. But to me, it's like I still look at that 7th round pick. Craig Woodson out of California. Really, really like him. What is it? Keaton Crawford out of Nevada. This is the guy I said where gives you instant special teams ability. Very crazy athletic. And even Hunter Waller out of Wisconsin. Just good hard hitter, can also play special teams for you. And then one of my favorite prospects actually is Rayon Lane out of Navy. That is a 7th round player. And man, just because I'm like, Navy's, he's not going to be good. It's just watch him all like, dang, the guy can play. I really like him. Yet again, 7th round. And hey, there's Shiloh Sanders. So if anybody wants to draft a Sanders, they can. In the 7th round. No, I watched him. He just tries to smack people around a little bit. So let's see. Also, Cody, thank you. I just saw that out there. Brad deserves more likes. Thank y'all. Make sure to hit that like button out there. And I'm just seeing if there's any other players, linebackers. I know the Bears are kind of interested. You still have Chris Paul out of Mississippi, Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma, Jeff Bassa out of Oregon. I like him. Jack Kaiser, though, if I'm going linebacker, I just want to throw out a couple little names for you. Jack Kaiser out of Notre Dame, very, very good player. And then next, just some other players. Cody Simon out of Ohio State, I really like. Cody Lindenberg might even be there in the 3rd. Teddy Buchanan, another player too, out of California, just a little bit quicker. But there's some pretty good linebackers if the Bears want to even go with one of those down in the 7th. But also, too, something to look out for. We know that Ryan Poles, with these day 3 picks, he might even trade back from that 4th round pick just to accumulate more in the 5th, in the 6th, in the 7th, just to try and add more draft capital later on, because that's what he likes to do. So, thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. It is 11:45. Thank you all so much. And also, we have a whole bunch of stuff to be going through tomorrow. Lots and lots of draft coverage. Probably be on at a slightly earlier time. So definitely, it'll just make sure to stay tuned. So make sure to hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. Thank you all so much for sticking around, hanging out with me. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and